I don't really have any strong opinions about it, but like all the things that we've seen advertised that as the metaverse are things that, for the most part, we already have in VRchat.
Mm,
So I don't see a need to expand that definition that I have.
mm. What is
Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I've seen it so far.
what is your definition? Hello, welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion, and our guest is.
Hi, I'm Krait.
It's a pleasure to have you to have you and meet you for the first time. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I was surprised you invited me here out of nowhere.
I tend to do that sometimes. Just reach out to people. Hmm. So what is it you do here in VR?
What is it I do? Lately, not much. I've been off of VR for quite a while, but usually I just use it to hang out and sometimes play DJ sets or be
Hmm.
a VJ for people.
Oh, so what got you into VJing? Or yeah, what got you into that?
DJing, uh, seeing my friends
Hmm.
share the music they liked inspired me a lot to start this. It also started from a bet I had with a friend. If you're watching this, you'll know what I'm talking about. um, but yeah, it all started from there.
Oh,
I'd say about a year and a half ago.
okay. Where was the first place you played after you learned, and how long did it take you to learn?
My first set that had to be at ArcFest, an event a friend of mine was hosting. Yeah, that would be the first time I played.
Okay. What's Ikefest? May I ask?
ArcFest, there's just a small event that a friend of mine wanted to organize. It's been going on for a while now.
Hmm.
I think I played for the first or second edition, so it had to be around the time I started. And yeah, they just wanted to create an event to play whatever music we wanted.
Hmm. All right. Is it something that runs every year, or is it in public, or is it just private for you and your friends?
Oh, it's public. Yeah, I don't know when the last time was. It was running. I've been pretty out of the loop lately, but
Ah.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a pretty fun event. There's no music genre restrictions, so you could hear pretty much anything there.
Hmm. Do most events have genre restrictions?
It depends on the events. The ones I've been to, namely VTVR, I've been a part of since the beginning. At the beginning, it had some broad restrictions.
Hmm.
It was mostly stuff that was around hardcore music.
Okay. So.
You could deviate from that a bit, but
Hmm.
yeah, that was mostly
Okay.
the spectrum we wanted at the event.
Alrighty. So at events like Ike or VTVR, is it very common to have restrictions, or has it been a both?
Mm, I'm not an expert on the matter, so I couldn't say for sure. I know there are techno-based events or breakcore-based events, but the places I've been at have been pretty lax when it comes to that stuff.
Hmm.
Either a broad restriction or no restrictions at all, and I quite enjoy that.
Alrighty. So what is VTVR, may I ask?
That's VRrchat VR. It's a place that's been started around 2 years ago, maybe more. It was started by two friends of mine, Dr. Nope and Realmlist.
Hmm.
It basically started from the premise that We all started VRchat around November of 2020.
Mm.
And at the time, we would go to music events, and most of them would be in US time zones. And we wanted something that we could play at that would be in our time zones, that would be not at DJ now hours every time we wanted to listen to music.
Hmm. Fair. You know,
It started from there.
okay. That's that's actually really awesome. That's the second VR chat group that DJs and plays music from Europe. First one is Vanguard.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. So what was your first experiences as a DJ like, and why do you continue doing it, Mask? Just
It was very stressful. It was not in front of that much people, but going on stage, it's something I was not used to at all.
mm.
But it was something I was hooked on from the first time I really played.
Mm.
Just the feeling of putting something together and sharing it with the crowd and sharing the music that you enjoy. And yeah, that's something I got quite hooked on.
Okay. So tell us about your first experience then. The what happened and what kind of music did you play at the time?
I played breakcore because that's my absolute favorite genre.
Mm.
I'm listening to that all the damn time, and I really wanted to play that as my first thing. Uh, it was, as I said, really stressful, and I messed up quite a lot of times, but thankfully people didn't really notice. But I did, and that's most of the where the stress comes from. You don't want to mess up, and even if when you listen to your recording, you're gonna hear that part where you messed up, and
Mm.
but other people don't necessarily notice. So that's the important part, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that is a very true statement. A lot of people, your own work is will always be the most criticized by you yourself. Although a lot of the time, as you said, people will never notice. Like you can pick your own self apart and see every flaw and every nook and cranny of your work, but in the end of the day, a lot of people either will enjoy it or not enjoy it and won't notice the same things you do.
Hmm.
Mm. Well, this is one of the beauties of sharing your work. What you may think is not good may be good to everyone else. Like, for example, H.P. Lovecraft, one of his most famous works is Shadow over Innsmouth. He himself hated it, but when it got released after his death, it became one of his most popular works, as an example. Mm.
I'm not really into books myself, but I get the feeling. I'm not much of a reader. But yeah, it's as you said, it's so easy to pick yourself apart.
Mm. It, it can be, although sometimes picking yourself apart in your work helps you get better, but also doing it too much can also be a problem. All depends on how you treat it, I guess.
Hmm. You really have to find the right balance.
Mm.
I'm usually on the side of picking myself apart way too much and feeling insecure about about it afterwards.
Mm. So, with over time, those experiences you gain will generally lead to uh, you feeling good about what you do. Confidence usually takes time, not something a lot of people can just have automatically. Some people have to work on it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm.
I mean, I've been able, thankfully, to go back and listen to the first few things I've made, and I can see now the path I've been on and the progress I've made, and it's really satisfying to see that. But in the moment, it's much harder to appreciate that.
Mm. Indeed. Although usually in the moment you're always fo- focusing on what you think, or for me, what in the moment is always whatever you're focusing on, which will be either the work or the bad parts that you've noticed first, all depending on your mindset at the time. So, in reality, what you see is not the same thing others see. Hmm.
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 And agree with that.
E. So, what is? How'd you get into VR then? In the begin, like way before you started DJing.
That's a long story. I've been interested in VR for so long. I think the first introduction I had to VR was like a few videos from Blade and Sorcery and Gorn, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
That looked really interesting to me. I had a first try of VR at a friend's house. One time I played Super Hot VR with
Mm.
his headset, and that's the moment I realized I really wanted to get into VR because it changed everything. It's such a different medium,
Mm.
and there's so much possibilities within it. Like I say that to a lot of people. It's like the first time you try, you either hate it or you're gonna get hooked in the first few minutes.
Mm.
But yeah, that's how I really first got introduced, and then I found out about VRchat uh, through James Key's videos. I guess like
Mm.
a lot of people did, and I was just so impressed with the creativity of everyone that was playing at the time, especially with the meme avatars. Like we've all seen them, but there were some really creative people that did that, and I really wanted to get into it
Mm.
even more thanks to that.
Ah, okay. So, what was it about Blade and Sorcery and Gorn that got you hooked?
Um, Not hooked. I would say more. It piqued my interest.
Mm.
I thought, yeah, I see what's possible
Mm.
uh, to do within this. Like, there's not a lot of games, but I see the potential.
Mm. Yeah. So you started during COVID, from my understanding, like beginning of it. Mm.
Yeah, pretty much. That was like November 2020 when I started, and pretty much all of my friends started, and we all got together with some coincidences, I would say,
Mm.
and I couldn't stop ever since.
I don't blame you. A lot of people started at that time from some conversations I had. For example, even DJing and the VR clubs did very well during COVID. A lot of, or well, and they got a lot more business due to the fact people are locked in their homes. And what else are you gonna do but rave with a Knuckles avatar? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really fun time when I got into the rave scene.
Mm.
I'm not much of a rave person. I don't go into nightclubs or anything like that.
Mm.
Uh, but it was really interesting starting from there.
Mm.
Uh, because I have a lot of social anxiety. Going to clubs is just a nightmare, and being able to enjoy the music without the pressure of all those people around you. You could leave at any time or block anyone that's bothering you.
Mm.
That was that's what made it enjoyable for me. You don't have to worry about other people as much.
Mm. I can see and understand that. So has VR helped you with your social anxiety during your experience with it?
Not that much, I would say. That's something that's gonna be within me forever, I think. But it helped me find some people I'm really close to now, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm not gonna have that social anxiety around them, and I'm happy about that. I don't really need any more.
Hmm. That's that's understandable. I've I know quite a few people in VR who also have social anxiety. Some of them have a similar story to you, and others it's done wonders. I've seen some people remain the same, and other people change completely once they got into VR and got the groove of things. Mm.
Hmm.
Mm. It is one of the beauties of VR, I guess, is the ability to change and become someone different, or further dig deep into who you are.
And I think since a lot of us in that are playing this game are most of us are riddled with the same social anxiety, and it's easy to connect with that
Mm.
and other things. Like everyone that's going to be in VR and playing VRchat is almost it's almost a guarantee that they're a nerd in some way or another.
Mm.
So there's a lot of ways you could connect.
Mm. Yeah, the VRchat does gather a certain type of person. It's very common to see once you get to know people, usually video games, anime, some form of social anxiety. Sometimes the whole bunch or only a couple. Although everyone I've met so
Mm-hmm.
far here has been absolutely amazing people from various walks of life,
Mm-hmm.
beliefs. It's one of the yeah.
Yeah, I've been very happy about that exact thing. Like there's so many different people from different places, from different beliefs, like you said, and it's so amazing to be able to connect with that many different people.
Mm. I kind of think at some point in time, things like VRchat and the social VR scene may start growing over time, especially since gaming in VR has kind of become a little stagnant. But here, stuff is flourishing completely, and then you got events like what you do and VRDJs and stuff of that nature going on. So I kind of see a future with all of this. I see more people coming here and a lot more cool things being built over time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I've said, that's why I got into VR chat. Like all the creativity that we can see within this place.
Mm.
It's been so amazing to see what people are able to do.
Mm. Indeed. To be honest, with like for example, VR DJs in the rave scene when I first started, I had no idea it was a thing. None at all whatsoever, and I was absolutely floored. I didn't find out about it till like a couple years after I started, a year and a half to 2 years after I started, when I first found out about it. I was kind of amazed that that happened. That's a thing.
Hmm. And like it's been so amazing to see all the I'm not sure I can say technologies, but all the programs that people have created for everything to go smoothly, to make an event run smoothly, as well as all the effects, all the lighting effects that you can have in a world,
Mm.
and being able to create settings that there's no way you could create that in the real world, and it's amazing to see that.
Mm. I've I've seen a lot of really cool things in the club scene, such as there's one gent who works with audio link, and one of the things he does is he audio links gravity. So as the bass goes, you'll go up and down in certain spots where he sets the audio gravity to. And it's actually a really cool experience. So as you're going up and down with the bass, the whole world is audio linked as well. It's a really fun experience. Things like that are dope.
That sounds really fun. I haven't been able to see that. I'd like to see that.
uh there if you're to look up a user named Thousand Faces, one of his worlds in there. We actually have the world in our with a I believe I put that world in the description with him. But it is in
Mm-hmm.
Thousand Faces profile uploads. Really amazing work. Amazing work. There was another thing I found out over time was people who do lighting effects in real life also have came here, and I was amazed when I heard that people who have like real life experiences
Mm-hmm.
like lighting effects and stuff of that nature brought their expertise here.
Mm. Yeah, it's really, really cool to see that. And I like the idea of you're going to be experienced in the lighting field in real life, and you want to explore that into VR chat, but I don't know how it works really, but I guess you would have to learn coding in some capacity to get into that.
Mm.
It's really nice to see that you can learn and improve your work thanks to something that you probably never even thought about in the first place.
Indeed. There's I've heard a lot of people have learned skills at various times because of VR chat, whether that be coding, avatar, worlds, DJing, such as yourself. So many different skills people learn just to because they got inspired by someone here, and the amount of work they put in, it's it's flooring, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm really glad we get to see that.
mm. I kind of think we're living in a the infancy of the metaverse here in VR chat, and it's awesome to see history made here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, what would you define as the metaverse? Because I've seen the whole controversy all about that. What would you consider the metaverse?
The way I see the metaverse is a conglomeration of different VR platforms and applications. It, I think the whole thing as a overarching is the metaverse. That includes Horizon Worlds, VR Chat, Decentraland, Steam VR, the Meta Store, all of it together. I think
Mm-hmm.
what what may become is a lot like our modern internet, but for VR. So you'll have like a couple of different browsers, quote unquote, that which you would use to peruse the metaverse as like a central
Mm-hmm.
glue that you're able to use to see it all.
That's interesting because I don't really have any strong opinions about it, but like all the things that we've seen advertised that as the metaverse are things that, for the most part, we already have in VR chat.
Mm,
So I don't see a need to expand that definition that I have.
mm. What is
Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I've seen it so far.
what is your definition?
I don't think I really have one. I think VR chat for me is the metaverse as far as
Mm,
I'm concerned. Uh, it might be about connecting people, and VRchat is the only thing that has allowed me to do that. So that's what it is for me.
mm. Okay. I've I in my guess for one of the things you mentioned earlier about people claiming that the metaverse, I think it's just a lot of people trying to cash in on the infancy of what is VR in the metaverse, like Meta or Decentraland or Sand, for example, different applications and platforms. And I think each one of them is just striving to be the thing, although they're kind of not knowing or probably have zero experience in what VR is in the first place. Too busy trying to
Hmm.
be and not
Yeah,
experience.
it's been really apparent for some projects that we've seen that they just want to be the first in something instead of proposing something that's actually good and interesting.
Mm,
Like I'm gonna secure my spot here before I think about anything interesting.
mm. Well, there's not very often new technology like VR comes out for people to experience, and it's probably more common in history as soon as something like VR, the television or radio. So many people scramble to be the thing, whatever the thing is per se. Though I do think a lot of them should come here and experience what VRChat has to offer entirely before like running out. Like Better Horizons claiming they have legs, although they're just figuring it out, not realizing they've existed for a while.
Yeah, that's been really interesting to see, and like they were digging themselves this hole further and further. Like we already have him. What are you talking about?
Well, to be fair, the kind of people who would see Horizon Worlds and Meta are probably what we would consider normies and probably have no idea things like full body tracking, haptic suits,
Hmm.
haptic gloves, and VR headsets are a thing. I was talking to some people at work a while ago, mentioning the like you can see music events in VR, and their minds are blown that now is a thing. There are people who do that stuff here, and they had no idea. So when things like Meta, when they say we're the first to have legs, a lot of people are probably more apt to believe it, not knowing.
Mm, yeah, I guess so. But I do get what you're saying, and that I've had such a hard time explaining what's VR and what I do in VR to
Mm.
people that are close around me because it's such a foreign concept.
Mm. it is a huge foreign concept, and having to explain raving with a Knuckles and a Winnie the Pooh is a thing you do on the weekends. It's got
I
hard
mean,
to
yeah,
explain. Yeah.
not even considering what you look like in VR, just think about what you look like in real life. Well, you're dancing alone, presumably in your room with a headset on and some weird shit strapped around your body. And what the fuck are you doing there?
Though I kind of wish a lot of people would just try it out and experience. Although things with like the mobile app VRchat made now, it is a lot possible if you like you go to people you know in real life, being like, "Hey, this is what I do on the weekends. You can come see it. Download this app, and then they can experience for themselves the craziness, and then maybe get in here themselves. Who knows?"
Yeah, that's gonna be the gateway drug into VR chat.
We all have our first day experiences, whether on desktop or a Quest, and you come in and experience VRchat, and the next thing you know, you buy a Valve Index gaming computer, full body tracking, going thousands of dollars in the hole.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like when I first started VR, I just had a Rift S,
Mm.
and that was really cool. But like I really got addicted to it, and like I think in like maybe the first 4 or 5 months, I had ordered my full body and index.
Mm. The funny thing is, for example, my cousin who doesn't understand what I do for fun, VRchat and the whole metaverse thing, and a lot of the time having to explain why I've spent so much money into it is a really hard thing to explain why spent $600 to
Hmm.
have feet.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I lived at my mom's at the time, and it was really hard to explain. I mean, I made my own money, so it wasn't a problem. But why did you spend that much on three little plastic things that you put around your feet and waist? Like, what is the purpose of this?
Mm,
And it's so hard to explain it. And I think at some point I just gave up explaining it because she's older and it's harder for her to comprehend
mm,
like why I would spend so much in something that's in her eyes not real,
mm.
but like it's worth it. It's worth every penny.
Indeed, it is worth every penny. So, do you think VR chat friendships here are real, or do you think they're superficial, like your Facebook friends?
Definitely, yeah, they're definitely real. I guess it could depend on the people and what you look for when you
Mm,
go in VR chat, but I've met my absolute best friends on here,
mm,
and some of them I can easily say I consider family now. Yeah, it's real. All of it is real.
mm,
It's not all virtual.
mm. I do very much agree with you. It is real, although I also will pair that with it's as real as you will make it be. If you treat it superficial, it'll only be superficial. If you treat it like real friendships, go to actually meet in real events or real life of some sort, maybe chat or call all the time. I would agree. I'll, mm,
Yeah, like most of the people I've met on here, not all of them, unfortunately, because they're all over. I'll start again. All over the world. It's harder to reach some of them,
mm,
but I've met most of the friends I've met on here in real life, and it's been absolutely amazing.
mm,
Like I've had the experience of meeting online friends in real life before, and you had that feeling of, damn, I kind of already know these people. Like it's weird meeting them for the quote unquote first time because I already know them.
mm,
And that feeling was even more present for the people I've met on here. It was it is such a close connection that you can make with some people on here. And it did feel like I had known those people for decades before
mm,
I even met them in real life.
mm. One of the things that blows my mind with VR chat friendships is how well people can know you, even though or just a bunch of pixels with a voice, more so than
Hmm.
people who you know in real life. There's a few people I
Yeah,
consider friends in real
it
life
really depends
who,
on.
sorry,
Sorry, I'm
no, no, no,
sorry.
oh no, no,
It
it's
really does
perfectly
depends
fine.
on what you.
Yeah.
It really does depend on what you make of it. Like, if you want those superficial
Hmm.
connections, you're gonna have superficial connections. But if you come on here and have genuine interactions with people, like, I don't put on an act when I come in here. I'm just me,
Hmm.
and I'm especially me because I get to look like whatever I want. Uh,
Hmm.
it does make that. It does make it easier to connect with people because I'm assuming you look like you want to look, and that says a lot about you. And I
Hmm.
can connect with you on that level, as well as the person you are, if you are genuine.
Hmm. I personally have always been genuine. I'm not the kind of person that puts on a mask and an act for people. I'm very bluntly myself. I'm the
Hmm.
exact same way. Mm. So
Same here.
I do wonder what kind of effect over time the virtual representation of yourself would have on your personal view of yourself in real life. That is something I think about sometimes.
Uh, it does change things. Uh, I think that's something I always knew within myself, but like
Mm.
being able to express myself however I wanted in here has allowed me to go past the I think this is the way I feel, but like I've experienced it. I know this is the way I feel.
Mm. Mm. Well, I've noticed VRChat does that for a lot of people, helps them find themselves. They'll come in one way and then leave a completely different person, although they're still themselves, but because they came in here with the intent of being themselves, over time they've learned and grew in a very different way than they would in real life. And I think it's one of the best things about
Hmm.
VRChat.
I would wish that experience on anyone. Honestly,
You wouldn't?
I would.
Oh, you would. Ah, yeah. Well, for example, one of my friends I've met here came in a very when I first met him, like we both started about the same time. And when he first came in, he was very socially awkward and had social anxiety, such as yourself. Over time of being in VR chat, real life and VR, he became less of an anxious person, became a lot more outgoing and blunt with how he acted. And watching people do things like that is grow and become a better person. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing to see, and being able to look the way you want to look, and not having the
Mm.
how can I say, restrictions of the real world. And you can block whoever you want to block if they're bothering you.
Mm.
You can be yourself. It's easier to be yourself
Mm.
and not to worry about what people will think of you. And as a result, thrive in whatever way you want to.
Mm. Indeed. You're very much capable of being whatever you want. Your imagination is the limit here. Mm.
Hmm. And I love that.
Mm. I also like that VR chat kind of seems like the old Wild West of the modern internet. Kind of like how the old days of the interwebs were with like 4chan and cursed content back in the day when people were just creating whatever it is they felt like. Feels like VR chat is that in the modern day, and it's great. Mm.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Mm. Crazy to see how VR chat is. Like when I first started a while ago, I would never expect that it'd be in this long, to be frank. And meeting people like you, like yourself, has been one of the highlights.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I can say I definitely didn't expect to have that effect on me as well. I think I just wanted some distraction from whatever was going on in my life at the time, and obviously the pandemic. And it's insane how attached I grew to this place and the people in it.
Mm, I do agree. Over time, I've noticed I have a lot more memories of this place than I figured I would, and I do agree with you wholeheartedly. Mm,
Hmm. And also having the opportunity to meet the people you meet on here and see so many different people. That's definitely something
mm.
that's I don't really know the word, but that's enriching. That's not a word, is it?
It is a word. Enriching is a word.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
Mm. Well, I do say I would hope VRChat continues down its path and whatever metaverse is defined as in years to come, that it's still a part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see where this whole place goes.
Mm. There's going to become a time where the metaverse is common and you'll be walking down the road in your AR, XR, VR headset of sorts, and you'll be seeing Knuckles running around the streets and over in the real life world.
That would be a weird sight. I can't imagine my mother seeing that. She would be even more flabbergasted than I would.
Honestly, I think it'd be pretty funny. You go down to the gas station to get yourself some coffee, and you're wearing your little metaverse glasses or whatever it is, and there's a Knuckles serving your coffee at the other side of the counter. as a little example, just going around. Although
Oh my
I
god.
don't think it's necessarily going to be like that, but
Yeah, neither would I want to see that, to be honest.
although the interaction of people who aren't wearing it as the Knuckles serving coffee is look at people going, "Do you know the way?" and no one understands or even know the why the dude is saying that.
Yeah, I can just imagine two random people seeing each other in their glasses as two knuckles, and both of them would go. The people around them would have no idea.
What is going on? Are they okay? Should I call the police?
Are they aliens? Why are they doing that?
Mm, fantastic little things, I guess. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
indeed. So, have you heard about some of the VRChat updates coming out? I'm quite excited to see all the stuff rolling out, even down to like the UI, custom color themes you could do now with your menu.
I've sort of read the patch notes, like the smaller updates. So
Mm.
I've kind of seen, but kind of not. I've been pretty much out of the loop for the past few months.
Ah. Well, I have noticed they've been doing some graphical upgrades a little bit from like 19 to 19.4, and then I think they're going to 2022 is the engine they're going to now. And
I did see the Unity update. That's going to be
mm,
interesting. Like what improvements that's going to be able to bring. Like we've seen the merge to 2019 bring a lot of things to VRchat, and another evolution like that is definitely going to bring some interesting things.
mm, in a video we just did yesterday with Shopo, we actually learned that one of the things you're going to be able to do with the new Unity is instancing objects will be different. It'll be a lot less demanding depending on how you make the world. You have the ability to optimize a whole lot better. So instead of having like each one of those plushies is an instant object, it'd be done in a very different format so that your computer won't want to lag and suffer.
I see. And we all know that we definitely need all the optimization.
Indeed. I remember when I first
Yeah,
started.
we don't all have 3090s or 4090s to run all this crap.
No, not at all. I remember when I first started, you could crash tolerances by running your arm down a shelf with separate objects. Like if there's a bunch of cups in a coffee world, you can just knock all the objects everywhere. And then I found out the hard way when I was world hopping by myself. It's like, oh, cool. And I knocked down all the cups and moved my arm back and forth and gone.
Really?
Yep, back
How
in
long ago was that? I've never heard of this.
2 or 3 years ago. I could be wrong, or I just in a
Really?
world,
So not that
a
long
very
ago.
specific world. but you'd be able to hurt your computer in a way.
Damn.
Although that's not a problem now. You can throw objects everywhere now and have zero problem whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Indeed. Hmm. Well, I would say thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate getting to meet you. Is there anything you'd like to plug before we part ways?
I don't know when this is gonna be uploaded, but tomorrow I'm gonna be playing at VFest for VTVR. I'm gonna be playing a drum and bass set.
Hmm. Well, I believe this will be coming out Tuesday, but I'll be sure to plug you and VFest personally, and then hopefully people see it. Send me some links after the fact, and everything will be down there and on social media.
Will do.
Hmm.
Thank you.
No problem. Check the Do Hoobly What's It down there. Lots of fun stuff down there usually. Bye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.